Hey everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, My Kind of Steph, and today is episode 4 of TBR Takedown. If you're new to my channel and haven't caught the first couple episodes in this series, I will make sure I link the playlist down below. I've obviously only been doing this a couple months now, but the whole reasoning behind it was that when my physical TBR was just getting out of control, I had too many books, they didn't all fit on my book cart, and I just really need to rein it in and focus on reading what I already own. So that's the point of this entire series. So every month I've been picking somewhere between 3 to 5 books from my physical TBR using a random number generator. And whatever number it gives me, I use that and go over to a spreadsheet that I have and find out what book that correlates with. If it is a book that is in the middle of a series, um, I will obviously just read the next book in the series. I won't read the series out of order. But this has just been a really great way for me to kind of really focus on what I own instead of just constantly buying new books. Um, Not to say that I still haven't gotten new books while doing these episodes, but when I did episode 1, I started with 134 books on my spreadsheet. So 134 physical books that I have not read yet that I owned. We are now down to 117 books on this spreadsheet. So that means we have basically gotten my TBR down by 17 books. I have read more than that in the last few months, but some of them I did not own physically. I just listened to the audiobook for or read the Kindle book for, as well as picking up a few new books throughout the month. So that added back on to my physical TBR total. So yeah, we have 117 books right now. Let's hop into the random number generator and see what our first book pick is going to be. All right, so I have my spinner wheel here, numbers 1 through 117. Let's go ahead and spin and see what our first pick is. Number 88. All right, so let's remove 88 as a choice and see what number 88 is on our spreadsheet. Ooh, The Final Scene by Steph Nelson. I'm really excited for this one. Unfortunately, I don't think it. Oh no, it does have an audiobook. It's on Audible. Okay, perfect. I read books a whole lot faster if I get the audiobook to go with it because I work full time and I also work from home, so I can listen to audiobooks while I'm working. So it just really helps me get through my reading faster. Um, this is also one of my Twisted Retreat special editions, which another goal of mine is to read more of those. So, yeah, really excited to have this one on the docket. Let's see what we pick next. All right, let's spin again. Number 99. All right, let's remove that. Go to our spreadsheet. Luckily, we don't have to scroll very far. 99, The Taxidermist Lover. All right, we're just getting all the spooky books. This is another one of my Twisted Retreat special editions. This one is by Polly Hall. All right, let's spin again. I think because in December I only did 3 books, I'm going to do 5 for January. I just wanted an easy December. For 95, why do we keep getting the same section of the spinner wheel? This always happens to me. Every time I do a spinner wheel anything, it just picks the same little like quadrant of the wheel, and that's where I get all my numbers from. All right, remove that. And 95, The Prophets. Um, I have had this book for a really long time. It was a book of the month pick, I think like probably close to 2 years ago now, and it's just been sitting on my shelf for forever. So this is definitely a TBR vet. Um, Not entirely sure I'm not interested in it anymore, honestly. My tastes have drastically changed over the last couple years, but I do own it, so I want to at least give it a shot. And if I end up hating it, then I guess we can just unhaul it. Um, but yeah, let's give it a shot. All right, let's get into roll number 4. I'm going to click the spin button twice this time and just see if we get a different section of the spinner wheel. Ooh, we are. Okay. Number 61. I mean, it's not that far off from what we had before, but it is slightly different. Number 61. Jeez, with the twisted retreats. Okay. On a clear day, you can see Black Island by Gage Greenwood. This is a slightly more recent one. It was definitely within the last like 6 months, I think, that I got it. I know absolutely nothing about it, but again, I'm excited because a goal of mine was to read through more of my Twisted Retreat books, so this is a great way to force me to do it. All right, let's get into our 5th and final spin. How many times should I click it this time? Let's click it 5 times for the 5th spin. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just really confused the wheel. Hey, that worked. It gave me yet another different spot on the spinner wheel. All right, book number 43. Let's see what that is. Okay, so 43 got us Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. I've been doing a reread of the Harry Potter series because I hadn't read it since I was a kid. I've really, really been enjoying it. However, Half-Blood Prince is not the book we are on. Right now, we need to read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire next. Which is book 4 in the series. So that is the one we will be adding to the TBR. And I'm super excited. Like, I realize these are middle grades, but I always have so much fun reading them. So, yeah, that is our 5th and final book. All right, so we spun our wheel. We got our 5 picks. Let's go ahead and talk about them real quick. So first off, we have The Final Scene by Steph Nelson. Again, this is my Twisted Retreat copy, so it has beautiful edges. These end papers on this one are absolutely gorgeous. It also has a reversible dust jacket as well as this beautiful cover with foiling on it. So really pretty, very special edition. It's probably one of my favorite Twisted Retreat books that I have. And this one, we follow Brooke, who was kidnapped on her way home from work 10 years ago and has been held captive in an isolated cabin on the Oregon coast ever since. And basically, she's just been trying to follow her kidnapper's instructions because the price of not doing so is death. Until one day a new victim shows up, and that's when everything changes. This sounds super intense, and I love a good isolated setting. I love a book in the forest. I love a cabin for a horror setting. So this one is hopefully going to check all of those boxes for me. It is also a thriller, um, horror, mystery, psychological kind of blend, which are all things that are right up my alley. So I can't wait to hop into this one. All right, our next roll gave us The Taxidermist Lover by Polly Hall. This one is supposed to be like a modern gothic tale. It is about a woman who has a weird obsession with her lover's taxidermy creatures. And I don't really know. I know there's a rival taxidermist, and our female main character has like some sort of strange urges over these creatures. So she reaches out to her twin brother to try and like help figure out the reasoning behind that. Again, this is another Twisted Retreat edition. We have end papers and a beautiful cover. This one does not have a reversible dust jacket. But this one just sounds really weird and eerie, and I don't know. Gothics are really hit or miss for me though, so I don't know if I'm going to love it, but I'm excited to give it a shot, and I will let you guys know what I think. All right, the next book that was picked is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. This one was actually a Goodreads Choice Awards nominee for historical fiction back in 2021, which is part of the reason why I picked it up. But like I said, it's been hanging around quite a while now, and I've never gravitated towards it, never really felt the urge to read it. I know it is a historical fiction, it is a romance, it is LGBTQ. We basically follow the forbidden union between two enslaved young men on a deep South plantation and the refuge that they find in each other and a betrayal that threatens their existence. It sounded really interesting and like I'm still curious, but it's just not something I've ever felt the need to reach for. Um, Historical fiction, back when I grabbed this, was really like my niche. I was really enjoying them at the time, but I've kind of grown out of them and haven't been reading them as much lately. So I guess it's good that it's, making me read something a little bit out of my current comfort zone and expand my horizons a little bit. And then the next pick was On a Clear Day, You Can See Block Island by Gage Greenwood. Again, another Twisted Retreat edition. The cover is really neat. I like this weird creature. And then another reversible dust jacket. And I love the map. You don't very often get a colored map, so that was pretty cool. So in this book, we follow the Keaton family, specifically the siblings, 4 years after something tragic happened on Block Island. They're all coping with it in different unhealthy ways. Charlie has really severe anxiety that's controlling his life. Angela is afraid of the dark. Brian suffers from a drug addiction. And Christy can't even remember all the details of what happened. Her mind has kind of like blocked it out. But some new information about that tragic day comes to light, and now these siblings are ready to face their demons head on, and they return to the island. I think this one is like a coming of age horror with grief and PTSD. I think it's also kind of paranormal. I believe there are monsters on Block Island, but I'm not 100% sure. And this is another like horror, thriller, mystery kind of combo. So I'm really excited to get into it. I generally like books set on an island because everything is very like contained and it just makes it that much more scary or creepy because you can't easily get away. So I'm really excited to get into this one. And then the final book was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. This is the fourth book in the series. This will be Harry's fourth year at Hogwarts. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about it because I feel like everyone knows the Harry Potter story. And if you don't, you should read it. They're pretty much all 5-star books. They're fantastic. They're so much fun. And yeah, not much to be said here, but I am excited to get into it. And this is the first book in the series that like finally got chunky. And like I really enjoyed the later years at Hogwarts, so I'm really excited to get back into this world. All right, guys, I am back with a little TBR Takedown update. I took a couple weeks off from filming after the holidays because I did the 12 days of Bookmas, and that took a lot out of me filming so many videos in such a short time. So I did already read 3 out of the 5 books on my TBR Takedown list, so let's talk about them. So the first one that I read was The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. And man, was this a heavy read. I knew it was going to be just based on the plot of the book, but like there was a lot of sexual assault in here, and it, it was just a lot to take in. But basically, we follow Samuel and Isaiah, who are slaves on a plantation in the deep south. And they are a couple. They've been together since they were kids, and it was not really an issue with anybody until this older gentleman, who is also a slave, starts preaching the gospel to everybody, and now all of a sudden their love for each other is seen as sinful and shameful. So it's really about them kind of navigating that, but also the slave owners abusing people, abusing slaves, slaves abusing other slaves. Like there was a lot happening in this book. Um, a lot of really good, deep discussions in here. A lot of gospel in here. There's a lot of Bible verses and things. And I don't really know how to talk about this. I don't even know how to rate this, um, because it just doesn't really seem right to. Like, I guess if I had to rate it, I would say like a 3.5 star for me. I loved the book. I loved the message, but I feel like we were a little heavy-handed on the essay in here, and also a few too many points of view. I felt like we were hopping around a lot, and at points we kind of like lost Isaiah and Samuel's story because we were focused too much on other people. So, yeah. Overall, like I'm glad I read it, and this is one that has probably been sitting on my shelf for the longest. So, knowing that it has now officially been read, it feels really good. So, yeah. Overall, not bad. Definitely not a favorite. I used to really be into historical fiction, but in the last few years, I've kind of grown out of that genre, and it doesn't always hit for me anymore. But again, glad I read it, and it is off my shelf. So next up, I read The Taxidermist Lover by Polly Hall. This was something, let me tell you. So this actually was kind of fitting because I didn't even realize the story takes place like over Christmas. It's following a woman named Scarlett, and it's kind of just her recalling past holidays with what is his name? I forget his name now. Henry. Henry is his name. Her and Henry's love story. Henry is a taxidermist, and there's some sort of like weird rivalry between him and another taxidermist, and they start making these like bizarre creatures. Like they blend different taxidermy animals together, and then they call them really weird things. Like he put a swan head on a poodle body. Like just really, really weird, bizarre things. All of these weird creatures that he is making start infiltrating Scarlett's dreams and desires. There is a whole lot of sex in here, which I was not expecting. These two, every time he like stuffs an animal or makes a new creature, and she kind of like helps him along the way, like come up with these ideas. They like get off on it and then bang it out real quick. Like it was just the most bizarre thing I have ever read. Of course, it does take a weird twist at the end because it is a horror, and I definitely wasn't really expecting it to end the way it ended, but it was a book. Let's put it that way. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. And I also read The Final Scene by Steph Nelson. This was definitely not what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting like your traditional creepy cabin in the woods, and that is not at all what we get here. Um, there's this woman, Brooke, who is on her way home from work one night when she is kidnapped. Um, this story then jumps like 10 years in the future. Brooke is still captured by her kidnappers in this cabin. There's also some other people that keep coming and going. The people that are holding them hostage are making them play out these weird scenes for them, um, reenacting their life and their loved ones that have passed away. It's really weird and awkward. They keep collars around these people's necks and tell them that if they leave the property, the collar will trigger and basically blow them up. Like, it's intense and weird and creepy. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I did like it. It just wasn't at all what I was expecting, and I guess that's my fault for not reading the synopsis, but you guys know I don't generally do that. But basically, this is just their survival story and trying to escape these crazy people, and it was quite a bit of fun. Which means that I only have 2 more books to read for this episode. I am actually in the middle of right now, on a clear day, You Can See Black Island, and then I also need to read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I should hopefully finish up on a clear day, You Can See Black Island tomorrow, so I will check back in with you guys then, and then we'll move on to Harry Potter. All right, guys, I am back with another update. I actually finished the last 2 books for this episode of TBR Takedown. The first one is On a Clear Day, You Can See Black Island by Gage Greenwood. I gave this one 2.5 stars. I don't know. It was fine, but I feel like it was very hard to follow because we were following all the children and they were bouncing all around with like their location and yeah, I don't know. And also they were children, and I feel like the things they were doing weren't really things that some of kids their age should be out doing. So we follow this group of siblings who 4 years ago endured the like darkest experience of their life. They lost a sibling, they lost parents, and they are now kind of all struggling in their own different ways. One of them has really, really bad anxiety. Another one is afraid of the dark. Another one has a drug addiction. One of them can't really remember what happened at all. So they head back to Black Island where all of this went down to kind of explore and talk to locals and figure out what happened. The monster itself was really cool, really scary, definitely some quite gory things, but a lot of themes of, grief and PTSD in here. But yeah, like I said, it was just really hard to follow. I couldn't really tell where we were all the time because, like, one of the siblings stayed back and was like, he was on his own like separate mission throughout this to like start up an escape room, but like that had nothing to do with what everyone else was doing, and I wasn't really understanding that storyline at all. um so I don't know, overall this could have been great, like had we focused more on the monster in the island, but we had too many side things happening. We also like brought some of their friends along on this quest to figure out what happened, so that added even more characters when there was already a ton of siblings. So I don't know, it was a little convoluted and whatever. I'm glad that I read it. It's a beautiful edition, but definitely not a win for me. And then last but certainly not least, I read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Obviously a 5-star read, right? Like this, I mean, in my opinion, is the best book of the series. I have been rereading this slowly but surely, and really been enjoying my time with the books. I forgot how great they were because I haven't read them since I was a kid, like when they released. Um, but in this one, we follow, Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Harry and Ron kind of are at odds a little bit in this one and not really speaking for like half of it. We go to the Quidditch World Cup at the beginning, and things kind of spiral out of control from there. Lord Voldemort comes back in this one. The Triwizard tournament happens that Harry competes in, and that's a whole lot of fun. I love a games element in books, so that really I think that's why this one is my favorite. There's just so much going on, so much action happening throughout the entire thing. They all have their own like separate little romances going on. They start having interest in, you know, boys and girls, and they have their little ball. And Neville Longbottom is so cute with all of his dancing and like having the best time of his life at the dance. Just it's so much fun. I absolutely love this book. And that being said, that is a wrap on episode 4 of TBR Takedown. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books and which were your favorites, especially with the Harry Potter series. Like, let me know if you've read it all, what book you think is the best, because this one is a standout in my mind. They're all great, but like this one is fantastic. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss any future content. Give the video a thumbs up on your way out, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.